Thank you for staying with us on TVC Breakfast. Well, it appears no one is safe in Zamfara State as bandits continue to wreak havoc on communities, leaving homes and farmlands deserted. Just recently, no fewer than 49 persons were killed by bandits during a 5-day-long operation in the state while attacking more than 50 communities over the past weeks. And despite efforts from security agencies to checkmate this ugly trend, there seems to be no end in sight. Meanwhile, the Zamfara state government insists it will not bend to pressures to negotiate with the bandits in the state. Well, that's what we want to discuss now again. Joining us in the studio is a former member, Presidential Committee on Small Arms. He's also a public affairs analyst, Darlington Umoru. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Always been making these corrections. Not member,
okay.
Consultant.
Oh, all right. Apologies.
They look alike.
The thin line between membership and consulting, yes.
Exactly. So anybody could, at different times, just to get set the record straight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you again for your time with us. We also have joining us via Zoom from the UK, Femi Aratokwale, who will also be joining us to share his thoughts as a security expert. All right, Mr. Darlington Umoru, we apologize once again. Thank you for joining us. Let's begin with you here with us in the studio. This is a subject that you are very conversant with, not just the broad outlook of insecurity in the country, but specifically the situation in Zamfara State. How does this latest cases now, how do they rub off with you or on you?
I've been to Zamfara to actually work at a point in time where the Presidential Committee on Small Arms and Light Weapons, when we covered the entire Northwest. This story actually emanated from an interview from a member of the House of Representatives. It has generated a lot of controversy, since that story broke. One, you want to imagine how many communities are in Zurmi local government, whether we have about 50 of them, like he claimed. And the military has since reacted to that story as well, to say that even though the communities were unnamed, that the story was not completely correct. That's talking about precisely the statement by Major General Buba, the Director Defense for Media. If aside from what he said, the rest of us who saw 50 communities sacked, not named, it becomes a thing of worry. We should be very careful when we're discussing insecurity at this point in time. There are things that help the bandits and the terrorists so much. Whatever will create fear, that alarm helps them so much. And so we should not concede to helping them to create fear, put fear in the nation and on the government. What do we need to achieve? We play down, let's water down on the activities of these terrorists and bandits. And then it will help us more and play down on their strength.
How do we water down this kind of situation when every time it happens, it's always in the news? Are you saying that we as newsmakers or as media practitioners shouldn't even talk about it at all?
Some people, if I may add, Mr. Moro, some people may even say that these cases are not even reported, are largely underreported. Yeah. It's more rife than we may even know.
Let's look at it from this point of view. Men are out there defending you and I, the military. Now, the military have been positioned in certain areas in Zamfara State to manage insecurity situation. Now, if you credit what the bandits didn't achieve to them, you have downplayed the strength of the Nigerian military, who are doing so well. And so the morale in the military, morale means a lot. Lifting up the morale of the soldiers in the theater. And so if you begin to give credit, so much hype to insurgents, you are killing the strength of the military. And so that's why, for instance, this story, it's not every story you see you don't verify. Where are the names of this? I'm not saying that insecurity, Zamfara has not become the home of the bandits. I'm not saying that. I'll come to your question, but I needed to clear all of this. How many communities or villages do we have in Zurmi local government? That's the point I'm trying to raise. It's not about that some of these things don't happen. But when they happen, do we need to add to them to create more fear? And then to discredit any government, whether the state or discredit the military that are fighting this battle for you and I? Let's look at them. Do we have up to 50 villages or 50 communities, 50 villages in Zurmi local government? I've been to Zamfara. I'm not saying these things don't happen in Zamfara like they happen now. We know in another local government, within the last 1 week, we have about 5 villages that were attacked by bandits. Within the last week. And now, we've had that. But the House of the honorable member, I'm not taking anything away from him, who is from that constituency.
Zurmi Shinkafa.
Yes, who is from that constituency. Apparently, he named a village that was also attacked in his constituency. But if he's saying 50 and the military is saying where are the names of the 50 communities, it means that something is wrong. So that's the point I'm making. We should think less of hyping the activities and giving credit to these hoodlums. Because one of the things they want to achieve is to put fear, instill fear in the people. We know farmers are suffering right now. It's planting season. Of course, many of them cannot go to farm. They are being attacked. And then the basic challenge here is that, one of the basic things he said, which is very correct, is the fact that, was it the one that said it or a villager, that when the military attack the bandits, they come back attacking the villagers and the farmers. Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. But whether we had about 50 communities sacked in Zamfara State, I don't think so.
Is it about trying to downplay the efforts of the military, or is the senator trying to get the government to do something? That was why he had to mention 50 communities. It's possible that it might be.
No, but we should be straight with the records, whatever it is.
Well,
we should be straight with the records.
That's a fair point.
Now,
that's a fair point, Mr. Umoru. But then, in addition to what you would add, I interrupt with caution and deliberately, because I also want you to think about this. What you think. All right, okay. Mr. Femi Aratokunle, perhaps we should push this over to you. Thank you very much for joining you. I'm sorry I didn't, get your introductory remarks at the start of this program. But having listened to Darlington Umoru here now, so there is some concern about how the insecurity is being reported in Zamfara State. Are you equally concerned? Or do you think that, there is need for us indeed to not dampen the morale of security operatives who are fighting this intensive war in Zamfara State? What's your take?
Thank you so much for having me on this program, Kemi, Phil. Good morning.
Good morning.
And Chief Darlington, good morning to you.
Morning, my brother.
What I'm going to say is very simple. Zamfara is no longer a new state or a new hotbed for security and insecurity in Nigeria. Having said that, Zamfara was actually created in 1996. So whoever was born 1996 till date will still be hearing different uncomfortable story about Zamfara up till date. So that means we are yet to set the security record straight in Zamfara. That is one. What is the population in Zamfara that we're even talking about? Zamfara population is still less than 6 million. up to date. Now, how many killings have we seen happen in Zamfara? What is the cause and what is the root cause of all this has got to even be asked. It's all about resource control. Who are those controlling and what is the government doing? This is not the problem of this present government, but this is the problem that past and previous governments seems to have inherited. Due to what? Due to lack of proper security that our military personnel, our police officers are now facing today. Don't let us forget that in Zamfara today, they have their own community protection guards. How many are they? How many have been recruited so far? How many men, how many women? At what ages have they been recruited? Those that have been arrested as part of this bandits or criminals or whatever we can call them, how many of them have been prosecuted? How many of them have been put back into radicalization program and a whole lot of things? These are things the senators, the lawmakers should be looking and be talking about rather than looking into downplaying the effort of the military in Zamfara.
All right, so in all of these things now, you're talking about the fact that people are downplaying the efforts of the ministry. What should the media do in ensuring that we don't talk too much about what the bandits are doing and give more credit to the military?
You see, this is a very dicey question. I think I've been in your studio some times ago and we discussed about security and journalism and the way we report security issues and cases. Are we actually praising the criminals or we're actually trying to praise the security effort? Don't forget, most of all the security men and women fighting for us today are actually being given a very serious, or how do I say, let me put it this way, poor welfare, poor equipment, lack of good governance and lack of good security compliances are always with them, and it follows them around to wherever they're actually going to de-escalate tension and crisis. But are we actually giving them the credit they deserve? Is our journalism or journalists or our newsroom, are they actually reporting cases the way they are meant to report it? I actually did my research yesterday, and I discovered that, hang on a minute, when we mentioned 50 communities, how many local governments do we actually have in Zamfara? Just 14 local governments. So where is this story coming from? Are they actually verified news that we can actually say, you know what, let us put our full chest on it and work on this and bring out a good result? The governor there at the moment is a very young, vibrant governor that can do more. But are we seeing anything so much that we can say, yes, there's an inside relationship between the security, the military, the police, and the community protection guard? We're yet to see all this. So please, the media should at least give credit to them. If you want to know how we need to give credit to them, let me allow you, Kemi or Theo, go and carry AK-47 and hold it for 10 minutes. Load it with 30 rounds. You hold it for 10 minutes. Then you will now start giving credit to our military, our police officers doing this job that are being created by politicians for no reason. Right. So some people are suffering it and some are just, talking without thinking before they talk.
All right.
Right. This
I wanted to add to what he has said.
Right.
I think sometimes some of our journalists should be, they should caution themselves when it comes to reporting security. This idea of rushing to the press has not helped reporting security. That somebody is an authority somewhere does not take away the credibility of your media, of your medium, in the sense that the man makes certain statements. Nothing says you cannot ask him to give you the names of those communities. You could ask that there and there. Give us the names of those communities, and you get it right. Otherwise, you go to carry out a little research before you submit your story. Security is a very sensitive matter. It's a very sensitive issue. As much as we know that Zamfara is a red zone, even so, we should be conscious about facts when we are reporting some of these things so that we don't damage the reputation of some persons, one, so that we don't create problem for these persons by giving fake data to some international organizations that are monitoring and also watching. They tap from the data that from all of these reports that come in our media.
All right. But, okay, so, that said, it's good that you both are putting these things into perspective, that, yes, there's a lot of work going on, and that's going on in Zamfara State in terms of dousing the worrisome tensions there. The governor, Dauda Lawal, has also alluded to this fact, commending the troops for their persistent work. But, reports are also, bringing up some trends, which I also wanted to speak to, talking about the fact that some local governments are now in control of the bandits. In the words of some residents, they are saying that these bandits are the police, they are the traditional rulers, they are community leaders, and all of that. For many of us living down south, we know that a lot of monies, a lot of resources, many personnel, police and otherwise, are there in Zamfara State, but some villagers are speaking to the lack or insufficient presence of security, personnel in their domain. So I want you to speak to that, Mr. Omoro, and perhaps Mr. Femi Aratokwale can also add his voice.
You can't take that fact away from them. That's a fact. I've often said that some of our security agents are overstretched. Our military is also overstretched. Considering the numerical strength of our security agencies and the military, you want to say that even though there's division of labor, you want to ask whether we have enough men and women on ground to actually be everywhere. The entire Northwest, particularly some states like Sokoto, Zamfara shares a border with Sokoto. Zamfara shares a border with Katsina. Okay? I think Zamfara, to some extent, also shares a boundary with Kaduna, Niger. Okay, so this, beyond that, these are states that share boundary with other countries, aside from Kaduna. And so, like, when we went for border management training, where we train security agents, concerning border management, infiltration of illicit arms into the country, particularly small arms and light weapons, which, of course, are the equipment used by the terrorists and the bandits. Bandits are also terrorists now, as branded by the courts. So the challenge, basically, is not just the numerical strength of our military and the security agencies. They cannot be everywhere at every time. That's why state governments now, particularly up north, even down south, are creating some other zonal policing arrangement, which could also help in gathering information, intel. In the media, you call it information. In the military circle, it is called intel. They gather intel and submit to the appropriate. When Mr. President, talking about His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, came on board, he talked about the clearinghouse, where all of them meet and share information and who takes what. You move on. But the situation in Zamfara State, there's an interest. Zamfara State has gold, and you have so many persons who are jostling over the gold that is present in Zamfara State. I've seen you also have illegal foreigners brought in by Nigerians to mine gold for them in Zamfara State.
I can hear you, yes.
And so that in itself has created a source of income for fueling some of these activities of this.
I can hear them persons. In the studio.
Now look at the average, the average bandit that is arrested. You look at him, profile him. You discover that that man cannot access where to buy an AK-47 or AKM or MPG, for instance. He cannot access it. So who is accessing it and buying it? Some of them are recruited, and some of them are paid.
So you mean that there might be a local and international collaboration to ensure banditry thrives in Nigeria?
International, I cannot verify that. But local, yes. Yes and yes and yes.
Can you
And
verify
then
local?
local, yes, because even the former governor of Zamfara State did come out to talk about knowing some of those persons who were sponsoring bandits. But the challenge we have, and I am sick and tired of it. Over time, I've talked about it, where Nigerians in authority will come out to say, we know them, but name them. Stop telling us you know them. Give us the names and let them be prosecuted. I'm sick and tired of that. But if you say there's no local collaboration, then I'll take you to the issue that happened in UAE, where some persons were arrested and then they are serving jail terms now, who couriered funds to terrorists in Nigeria. Some persons were recipients of those funds in Nigeria. What are those persons? What are those BDP people who receive those funds and pass them on to the terrorists? Have they been arrested? Have they been sent to jail? Just like in UAE, those of them who were arrested and then linked to the movement of that money to the sponsorship of terrorists in Nigeria have been jailed. They were prosecuted and have been jailed. They are serving jail terms, 20 years, 10 years, and 15 years. So if you want to ask that question, I don't think you need to look far.
All right.
Okay.
So let's go to Femi on this matter. Femi, what's your take on Chief Darlington has points here as to local collaboration in this menace? What's your own take on this?
Said so far, and I'll be honest with you, until we have a policy in place and name the policy, don't say or quote me on this, name and shame the criminals. If we don't have such policies, then we're yet to get to the roots of all these crazy things happening in Nigeria today, because our judicial system seems to be very weak. We rarely jail anyone or prosecute or, give tough time, to criminal activities in Nigeria. It's as if once they go to court, the bail is 10 million, 5 million, that ends the case. So we're yet to see why and how our security will be praised that, yes, they are doing a good job. If the judiciary system can be, let me put it this way, put their foot down and do the right thing, I think security will do more in apprehending all these criminals, because I don't see them as anything, but I see them as criminals. But right now, we see them as glorified VIPs in Nigeria that even our security officers are actually protecting. So there's a part of the problems we are having in Nigeria today. Why is the problem in Zamfara escalating more and more? As I've said it's all about resource control. Which of the resource control are we talking about? The real mineral resources in Zamfara can actually serve and better the life of people in Zamfara themselves. We have the Chief Darlington mentioned gold. That is not the only mineral resources we have there or the kind of precious stone we have there. We have different kind of precious stones that we don't even know about. I have done my research and I was able to find out that we have more than 10 different precious stones in Zamfara alone. So you can see why the war in Zamfara is unending. And when war is unending and people are really doing so much not to allow it to die down, know that something is really wrong somewhere there. And this is exactly my point. The security are fighting, but is the community and the state governments and everybody and the stakeholders equally joining hands to fight these criminals is my question today.
Okay, quickly, Femi Aratoko, kindly speak to the position of government amidst these efforts to tackle the security in Zamfara. Governor Dauda Lawal saying he will not negotiate with the bandits.
If Governor Dauda Lawal is saying he's not going to negotiate with the bandits, I will give him thumbs up. But however, what about his local chiefs? Are they dialoguing and, negotiating with the bandits is the problem. How well can he trust those in power of security in Zamfara? Don't forget, 6,000 plus community protection guards were recruited. Only 2,500 have been graduated and, put back, to start protecting the community and to form a security layer with the security agencies we have in Zamfara. Are they enough? That is not even enough at all. So governor should do more. I appreciate him, but he needs to do more. if he really wants his name written in gold. But if that should be the case, or if that should not be the case, I think we'll still come back to the studio and be discussing this issue once again.
All right, let's come back to the studio now for Mr. Moro. What's your take?
My basic challenge is the proliferation of small arms and light weapons.
Yes,
so much in Zamfara State and other places. I just talked about the northwest states that are sharing borders. With foreign countries, and some of these borders very porous. And so if you have movement, and I talked about sponsorship, people who buy these arms and recruit these men, these foot soldiers for the bandits. Now, if you look at what happened in the last 2 months in the West, talking about the Idiroko Area Command, the Tinkan Island Area Command, for instance. In Tinkan Area Command, where you have the likes of Gambo Aliu, who is the head of enforcement, and then Dera Neji, they've been displaying to us seizures about small arms and light weapons that they've been recovering, that they've been trying to look. The bandits and terrorists, they are desperate. They will do anything to bring in small arms and light weapons, because these are the equipments they use. And sometimes they bring in even more sophisticated weapons. And you see, what we see in most times is the complete package of firearms. In some other times, they are brought in parts. You could even find just the trigger, and you will not know what it meant. Until you do a good assessment, you may not even know what they meant. They could be brought in as spare parts for vehicles and all of that. But look at what is happening in Tinkan Island Area Command, the port there. Gambo Aliu and his principal, Dera Nnaji, virtually every week, both drugs, which is one of the influentials.
That fuels it.
The drugs, which is most of the influentials for these terrorists, they are pushed into this country from the borders, even from the seaports. Idiroko, why do we have a little quiet in this part? Because some men are on top of the game. Virtually every week, go to Tinkan, you will see a report of seizures of either drugs or firearms or other dangerous things being brought in, either via concealment or all of that. I was at Tinkan recently, and I saw bales of drugs filled up in a container.
Now, this is just Tinkan.
I mean, most times they bribe their way out.
It's just Tinkan where we have some form of regulation. What about our other ports that are porous? We have a lot of porous borders where...
That is how and where these things come in.
Mr. Moro,
because
they go taking 10 seconds. Because
okay, 10 seconds. Yeah. Now, these terrorists or those who supply them firearms, will go at any length to do anything to break the law. They can even bribe their ways to bring in these things. But except for when you have men who are ready to say no, who are policing either these gateways or borders, who will say no to bribery and all of that, you will continue to have the infiltration of small arms and light weapons into the country.
All right, gentlemen, this would be a fine place to rest our conversation. Femi Aratokoale, thanks a lot for hanging on and for your contributions on this subject.
Thank you so much for having me on your program.
As well as Mr. Darlington Moro, thank you very much for your contributions. We indeed appreciate them and wish you both a great day indeed.
My pleasure being here.